The Excel sheet is huge in size, both in terms of rows and columns. So if you plan to print your Excel sheet, you have to manage your page size well enough to capture all your data optimally. I've never printed an Excel sheet in a real project for the very simple reason. Page don't interact. I can't filter. I can't slice or dice my data for better analysis. So why would I ever print an Excel sheet? Maybe for bookkeeping purposes. If you are planning to print out Excel sheets with huge data or may print out in future, this video will help you out and we will discuss some more things. The very first thing we will discuss is themes. This is slightly important and we will learn more about it when we work on data visualizations using Excel, Power BI or Tableau. See, every organization has specific colors that they commonly use for all dashboards, reports, presentation or branding in the organization. They adhere to that theme for consistency. So you usually pick or create a theme or style and you stick to that for everything. This saves time, ensures consistency and depicts your brand everywhere. For example, I've selected these cells, the font is Calibri and I've given them a color using cell styles. When we change the theme, the font and color gets changed automatically. Again, the organization you work for will have specific fonts and color palettes for everything you want to create. Now let's move on to the next one, which is margin. So for that, we will click on page layout to see if we decide to print out our Excel sheet, how is it going to look like. We will have these margins at the top, bottom, left and right. We can decide to increase or decrease these margins by choosing wide or narrow respectively. We can provide a custom margin as well. If we choose, we can also add a header and footer to our printouts. And most importantly, we see that our headers are only visible on the first page, but they are not repeating on subsequent pages. So we can choose to repeat our first row so that it is printed out on all pages. Excel shows us how content will be printed on a page using break lines. For example, here we see a break line on column H. That means anything we have on column I will be printed on a different sheet. Similarly, anything beyond line 49 will also go to a different sheet. Now let's look at this sheet where we have more number of columns. If I am printing this sheet, some of the columns are moving to another sheet. We do not want that to happen because it will be very tricky to analyze and maintain. We want to ensure that our data stays on the same sheet, and for that we can change the orientation to landscape so that it captures more columns and less rows on the same page. Size. So Excel is very smart and based on the output paper, it changes the amount of data that will be printed. If we specify A3, it understands that it can capture more rows and columns. For A4, that decreases slightly and it decreases further for A5. If you do not want to print the entire set of data, instead you want to print specific portion of data, you can use this option. Now why would you want to do that? Well, if you have extra information that does not really needs to be printed, or you have sensitive information that is confidential, you can decide not to print it. Page breaks. We saw that we had a page break at column H. If I want to introduce one right before amount, I can simply introduce a page break and anything after that will be moved to a different sheet. I can also reset my page breaks to default as well. Before we discuss background, let's quickly discuss print titles and scale to fit. We already saw print titles a little while back, using which we decided to repeat our first rows on all our pages. We can also choose to print black and white, add grid lines, and we can replace our errors with blank or NA using it. Let's understand scale to fit with this sheet. Even though we are in landscape mode, we have a page break at column M, which means the remaining values will be pushed to another sheet. What will happen if I reduce the margins to narrow? Even then, I'm losing the column P. Here comes scale to fit in picture. It shrinks our content as per our requirement to ensure everything we need can be captured on a single page. So here, if I change it to 90%, it includes the last column as well. If we shrink it too much, the visibility and readability of the document may reduce slightly. Now coming back to background. When we create a dashboard, at times we will choose a custom image to make our dashboard more appealing. Also, we may choose to remove the headings and grid lines to give it a proper dashboard feel for our users. And we will work with objects and layering in dashboard, which we will discuss when we work on visualization. Hopefully this should help you print an Excel sheet if you ever need to. Just for your info, my 10,000 rows in this document require 200 pages to be printed. I may not go into details of some of the tabs that anyway will be discussed throughout the course frequently.